All right. Good afternoon, sports fans. It's David and my illustrious co-host.
What's up? I'm Alex, and it's good to
Alex.
be here again.
Yeah. So how are things going with you today, Alex?
Good, man. Been off work for a couple hours now, working that night shift. So, I'm a little tired, but I'm here. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, definitely. So appreciate it. I know it sort of interrupts your sleep stuff, so I appreciate you taking a little time from your sleep schedule to do this show. I'm doing good. I got up this morning, almost 2 mile walk, trying to get energetic, trying to make some positive changes in my life. So,
Very
oh,
nice.
yeah. So hopefully people will see me thinning down as this show progresses as well. So,
Well,
all
you're
right.
certainly not getting any taller. So,
I know, man. I can't even get my chair high enough to make me look tall or even close to what you are. So, how tall are you? Six what?
six even.
Six even, and I'm 5'9". So, yeah, you got the height from your mother's side of the family. So, all right, let's look at our social media. Everybody, check us out. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, make sure you go over there. You click on the subscribe button and the notify button, so you'll know when we go live. Um, so check us out on all those different social media platforms. We have a website that's sort of gone dormant a little bit, but I think it's going to be coming back to life. So we'll keep you updated on that as well. And
Well, and
then,
one more thing, if you want to actively reach me, I'm on Twitter all the time. So you can see my Twitter at stupid Slade or stupid_Slade 9. That's me. If you ever
oh,
need to get a hold of me, have any questions, anything, you can go ahead and reach to me.
okay, and I am at the Bayou Bronco there, so you can get me on Twitter there as well. So want to give a shout out to our sponsors and a big thanks. We got Coda Bear Creations. They do our shirts, hats, water bottles, pretty much anything you want a design put on. They can do it for you. So if anybody's looking for anything, check out Coda Bear Creations. And then we got Stoked Fire, the barbecue superstore up in Loveland, Colorado. They are helping us out and helping us grow our reach on here. So, and speaking of them, sorry, I didn't mean to cut your face out there with the graphic, Alex, but we got our remote on July 24th up at the Stoked Fire Barbecue Superstore in Loveland. We're going to be doing a remote from there. We're going to have some food samples. We're going to have some games. I guess we're going to do a cornhole tournament. So everybody start brushing up on your cornhole skills if you want to take home the trophy of the first annual Rocky Mountain Sports Report cornhole tournament. Next thing you know, we'll have Johnsonville down here sponsoring us or something
You're
for
gonna
our
have to
corn.
go through me. You're gonna have to go through me
So,
first, though.
so apparently, Alex, but there is a post I put on the Facebook group. So if you are interested, let me know. I'm keeping a list of who we have, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do teams. If you got a teammate already, just put that in the comments. Say, hey, it's going to be me and so as a team, so we don't pair you up with somebody else. So, other than that, that's our intro business. Let's talk sports now.
I like it.
College World Series. It's a fun time. Remember
Oh yeah.
who did we see? Texas and Rice that one year, Alex?
Yep.
Wasn't it a championship game?
hmm
So that was a blast when we went to that. So
Well, and college baseball is always just fun. I think those guys are out there not making any money. They're out there playing for their futures and, just for the fun of it. So, to see the effort and the kind of exhilaration that kind of atmosphere brings is just, it's awesome.
yeah, it definitely is. And if you, like I put in my post earlier on the group, if you've never been to Omaha for the College World Series, I highly recommend you put it on your bucket list. I mean, it's just a great atmosphere. They moved the stadium, they built a new stadium and put it in the downtown area. So there's a lot more restaurants and bars and things to do, before and after the game when it was over by the zoo and sort of isolated from everything else. So, but yeah, we got, let's see, we got Arizona in there, which we know Alex is going for the Arizona Wildcats.
Of
We
course.
got We got North Carolina State's in there. I'm trying to remember them all. I didn't write them down. North Carolina State. We have
Vanderbilt,
Vanderbilt,
Texas.
Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, Stanford, and I'm forgetting one other. So I forgive me whatever school that I'm forgetting. So, but I have decided that for regional purposes, I'm going to pull for Arizona this year to win it. And I don't even remember the last time that they've won a College World Series. So hopefully, they'll bring home the championship for the U of A. So
It's gonna be a tough road for them because there's a couple teams in this College World Series, and it's always kind of a toss up. But there's a
oh,
couple teams
sorry,
that
Mississippi State. Mississippi State is the other one I missed.
okay.
So we got 4 SEC schools in the tournament.
But yeah, I was just saying, it's always kind of a toss up. But I'm going for Arizona as well. But Texas, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, they all look like tough opponents. They're all good baseball teams. Obviously, they made it this far, and this is where the exciting part for me comes in. Is this is where you lay it all out. This is where you put all the marbles on the table and you see what people can do. So
Yeah, definitely. So it is a good time. It's even fun to watch on TV. It's just the atmosphere and the vibe and everything you get. And I'm sure it's going to be a packed house at the stadium there in Omaha. So good time. It starts June 19th and it goes through the 29th or 30th. It if if there's a third game needed in the championship thing, then it'll go to the 30th. But if somebody just sweeps, takes the first two, then it'll end on June 29th. But definitely check it out. It's a good time. So, and let us know on the group who you're pulling for and why you're pulling for them. So, had a couple people say Vandy. Can't remember who else. Myself, Arizona. So, but all right, let's move on to the Nuggets. Yesterday, we sort of just spilled out our frustrations and everything else. So my question to you, Alex, as more of the NBA expert, what does Denver have to do moving forward to make themselves a viable, NBA championship caliber team? And is Jamal Murray coming back into the mix? Is that the only thing we're missing, or in your opinion, do you think we need more?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling me an expert. I like to think of myself as an expert, but a lot of people would say otherwise. But jumping into the Nuggets, Jamal Murray is going to be a big help from the time he steps back. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. Obviously, he's got to get back into game shape. He hasn't even started rehab yet, I don't think. So it's going to be a while. And like I said yesterday, probably we won't see him in a steady rotation until about mid-season, So really, Jamal Murray is a huge help. It's a big piece of the Denver Nuggets, and he's been part of the culture here for the last 5 to 6 years. And it's just there's a little bit more that we need. I think a big thing that I believe is going to make this team a better suitable contender is going to be moving Jokic to the power forward position and then bringing in a center. Now, that's going to be tough because me and you were discussing this morning, there's not a lot of free agents coming into this year, at the center position. And I even went as far and tried to look at power forward, seeing if we could keep Jokic at the center position and, bringing another power forward. The only viable one, obviously, is Kawhi Leonard. He's considered a forward, but I wouldn't necessarily put him at the power forward position. He's more of a small forward.
Yeah,
So,
I would say that too. And heck, you could even use the guy as a
as a
guard as
guard, yeah.
well. He can play 3 positions easily. So
Mhm.
he can play the 1, the 2, or the 3. So I agree. I think Denver really needs some help on the boards. And is it a philosophy? I mean, you see these guys and you shoot, and everybody's standing around the 3-point line, and there's nobody in there to go for rebounds.
Mhm.
So, does the philosophy of the Denver Nuggets need to change going forward? Does Mike Malone need to say, "Oh, sorry, Michael"? Don't want to call Mike. Michael Malone. Does he say, "You know what? We're going to change our philosophy. We need to get better on our interior game. We need to, you know, um, we need to get the rebounds, be more aggressive in there, get chance points. I know Joker does a great job,
Mhm.
but
But he can't be
it's
the only one.
right. It seems like at times he's the only one down there trying to get rebounds. Michael Porter, I think he struggles at rebounding. He he drops the ball a lot, and I
It
really
just
know.
seems like he has stones on his hands sometimes, you know?
Right, right. So I think adding someone like that would be definitely a good help. Somebody. And I went and looked, and we're going to pick 26th in the NBA draft. So you're not going to get somebody coming out of the draft that's going to be an instant impact for this team. So
Right.
and I don't see Denver getting so aggressive where we're trading up into the top five. And the only guy I would trade for. Um, to move up, it would be Mobley out of Southern Cal. I just think that guy's going to be a beast of a, I think he can be a franchise center for somebody. And I think
Yeah.
he's going to be a 10 to 15 year guy, as long as any injuries or anything like that doesn't happen. But, so we'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason. The draft comes up. Do you know when the draft is exactly?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
I think it's late June. Well, no, not June because we're in June. June's
Right.
almost over. I
Mhm.
think it's about a month or so usually after the finals. Correct?
Generally, yeah. It
Yeah.
might be a little bit different considering the schedule changes that we faced in the NBA this year and all that stuff. Um, but I kind of want to backtrack because you said something that kind of interested me. So I want to put this in perspective. Before the playoffs started, and before we even knew we were going to play Phoenix, Phoenix was ranked 23rd, which is in the bottom half of the NBA in rebounding. And as you saw in this series where we got swept, we were out rebounded by them tremendously. And if that doesn't paint a picture for you and kind of show you what this team really needs to be a contender, because they were out rebounding us, which means in big part that they were outscoring us. And if you can get those second and third chance on the offensive boards, or you can get that defensive rebound, make an outlet pass, get into transition real quick, those little things are gonna be what make or break you in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and I think our transition defense just really killed us.
Our transition offense wasn't much better
Well,
either.
no, it wasn't. So, but I mean, our transition D was just horrible in my opinion. So,
Mm-hmm.
and our one-on-one defense at times was very lacking. So, the NBA draft is July 29th.
Nice.
So, we'll see what happens between now and then. We'll have free agency going on as well, and we'll see if the Nuggets are going to make any noise there. Our Kawhi Leonard's going to be a unrestricted free agent, I believe. Chris Paul's an unrestricted, but I don't think Chris Paul is really a guy you need on this team.
Well, and he's not going to
Unless
want to
it
leave Phoenix with the way
unless
that they've been playing. So,
unless it's a leadership thing, then someone like Chris Paul would be good on this team. So if we're going for that as like a leadership role. So which you and I talked about yesterday, we lack that on this team as well.
mhm.
So so
Well, and kind of touching on that too, we talked about Jamal Murray, and I know you don't think that he's necessarily a leader, but this kind of thing where he had to sit out because of an injury, and um, he was sidelined, and he really wanted to be out there. You could see it every game. That kind of thing can mature a person, and I think that when he comes back, he realizes what we were missing, and he's smart enough to go out there and do it and become that person. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jamal Murray comes back a completely different person mentally.
Uh,
So
right, I agree. So, and I think this might be Kurt. Kurt, if it's you, go ahead and just give me a thumbs up or something. But it says Denver. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's Matt. Matt didn't follow the rules and do the face. So Denver does, and CP3 does have that leadership, but is he really a key piece that we need? I mean,
well, and
besides a leader.
you really have to think with Phoenix, the way that they're trending and how late it is in his career, he's probably going to want to stick it out there because they're already a championship caliber team. We've seen that. And they may or may not win it this year, but for him to jump ship and go to a different team where it's basically a question mark on whether he's going to reach the championship again, um, he's probably not going to do something like that. I would look for Chris Paul to re-sign with the Phoenix Suns as long as they're not trying to, um, do one or throw one over his head, and trying to jip him out of some money. So
Right. Yeah, I think if especially if they don't win the championship and they want to make one more run at it, then he's probably a key piece. If they win it and they want to get out from, I don't know what his salary was last year, so but they may want to move on from that. So, all right, but we'll watch the Nuggets. We'll continue to watch them. I saw some interesting Major League Baseball news come out today. There's been a big issue and a big concern about pitchers, doctoring the balls and things like that with foreign substances. And the Major League Baseball has announced today that in their attempt to crack down, they're going to go ahead and any player that's caught using an illegal substance will be they'll be automatically ejected from the game, and then they'll get a 10-game suspension. So now pitchers, and I'm going to have to look into this because it generally applies to pitchers. So if they're talking pitchers, are they talking team games, or are they talking pitching starts? Because then that could turn out to be heck almost 50 games as a pitcher, especially if you have a 5-man rotation. So I think it's probably just going to be the 10 games. So I'm not sure. So we'll see where this goes and how many pitchers get caught. But I think Major League Baseball is just putting them on notice and saying, "Knock it off, guys."
well, and it has to stop. I read an article the other day saying that a lot of fans are becoming bored with the game because of how good the pitching is and how little contact we'll see with the ball and how much velocity and how much spin they can put on it, that it's making it almost impossible to hit the ball. And I got to agree. We watch the NFL because it's changed into a scoring league, a passing league. We watch the NBA because it's become a shooter league. We don't want to watch baseball if it's just a pitching league.
Well, baseball is just such a slow-paced game as well, and I think this generation is just so much more quicker paced. And I just threw this stat up here because we're talking about pitchers. Gomber, who's the pitcher that came over from the Cardinals in the Nolan Arenado, he's been probably the lone bright spot of that whole trade, and he had another solid outing yesterday. 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, struck out 4 people.
Wow.
They bring in Bard to clean it up in the 9th inning, and he gives up 2 runs and makes it an interesting game.
Right.
And this is another thing. You and I talked about it yesterday with, Bud Black. Does he need to be gone? And I think this is just another example. Gomber's cruising along. He's only up to, mid-90s pitch count. Let him go out and at least face the first batter in the 9th to see what he's like.
Right.
Complete games are big deals, and you don't get a lot of them anymore because of all these situational things. I mean, and you would think Bud Black, as a former pitcher, would understand that and say, I'm going to let my guy go out there and get a complete game. So,
well, and coming from Gomber's perspective, he's got to be upset. He will never say it. He'll never come out and publicly address it. But in his mind, in the back of his head, he's got to be upset because, like you said, for a pitcher to reach a complete game at this time in baseball it's almost unheard of. Unless you're just striking person after person out. Most of the time they don't make it that far. So
yeah, you don't hear of them anymore. And Bud Black had 30, I believe it's 32 or 36 complete games in his career. You don't hear of pitchers doing that anymore because you have specialists now, and you have your setup guys, and you have your closers, and let your pitcher roll. I mean, he's getting a good rest after the game's over. And especially if a pitcher's not showing command issues, and I could see if in the 8th inning Gomber started, struggling a little bit and showing a little bit of, wildness and things like that. But I mean, the guy's just rolling, cruising along, and then next thing you know, he's getting the rug yanked out from under him. And I just think this is another instance of Bud Black mismanaging this team. Anybody listening out there, throw us your comments on what do you think of Bud Black? What do you think of his future with the Rockies? Alex and I talked about this yesterday. Should he be fired at the All-Star break? Do they let him go through the end of the season? But I personally think that this is probably his last season.
Well, and that kind of thing kind of destroys a pitcher's confidence. I know that these are pro athletes, but eventually you're going to get into their psyche a little bit, and they're going to start. It's either going to be his confidence is going to go down or his effort. You know, the next time that they put him out on the mound and they ask him to pitch a game, he's probably not going to give his all out now because of the fact that he went 8 innings with no runs and then he just gets pulled without even an effort in the ninth. You know,
Right.
that's ridiculous.
Well, it has to be disheartening, you know. So,
Mhm.
but and then we'll watch the Rockies. We got the trade deadline. I think is July 30th. I think, or somewhere around there, or July 31st. We'll sort of watch that, see what the Rockies are going to do in regards to Trevor Story. Are we going to offload him or really start a rebuild process with this team? So I just don't see Trevor wanting to be here past, next year when he saw the way that Nolan was treated. They really didn't bring in the help that Nolan wanted or needed, and it was just a bad contract that they gave to Nolan anyway. The Rockies can't afford to give out contracts like that, and I think Trevor Story is going to want a contract like that. So,
Right.
all right. Lastly, let's touch base on the Broncos. Mini camp started today. What are you expecting? To come out of here? Do do you want more clear definition between Bridgewater and Locke? Of who's going to go into training camp more as the starter, instead of is this 50-50 split thing going to really be a good approach for them, especially when you got two guys trying to learn the offense. Drew, I think, has a little bit of an advantage because last year, playing in this system. I need Bridgewater is familiar with Shermer. But I think at some point we have to say, this guy's our starter. I
Right.
mean, do you?
I do. I don't think it's going to be this early. I don't think we'll see it before this time is up. But I really do think that in the near future, not shortly after that, that we need to see a definitive answer, whether it's Locke or Bridgewater, one of the two. It's just got to happen, not only because of the fact that you want to give that guy more reps and more time with the first team, but you kind of want your team wants to be settled. They don't want to have that in the back of their mind going closer and closer to the season, thinking, "Oh, who's our quarterback? What can we expect?" Because that's just a whole nother array of issues that we could face, and that's not something that this Broncos organization needs at this moment.
Right, and another concern, and I know Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but when does it get too late for Denver to pull the trigger on a trade, or does it?
It doesn't.
So,
Because and simply because Aaron Rodgers is better than both those options. So
well,
if
no,
it
I agree 100% with that. So, and listeners, chime in, and if Matt's listening, then we definitely know how Matt is thinking. So,
right,
but right now it's down between Mr. Locke and Teddy Two Gloves.
hmm
Um, and unless we get a savior, is this team going to be much improved? I mean, what do
um,
you think?
so in my opinion, I think that while it may not be a much improved team if we do like my opinion is we stick with Locke because like you said, he's been in the system. He's worked with this team for going on 3 years now. And this is his make or break time. Just like we talk about MPJ in Denver or with the Nuggets, this is Drew Locke's make or break time because if he gets it, great. Then we found our quarterback of the future, and we've been waiting for it. We were patient. We did the right steps, and we've got our quarterback. But if he doesn't, then at that point, the organization can move on from him, and hopefully go out and find either a quarterback in the draft or later next year we can make something work with Aaron Rodgers once he settles his situation. Whatever it may be, this is the year that we need a definitive answer about Drew Lock, and putting Bridgewater in there would be great if it got us some wins. But that's a, people talk about the win now scenario, and that's it. If you want to win with Teddy Bridgewater, then say that. But if you want to
But
figure out,
and I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is that much better than Drew Lock, where he takes you from where we were last year to putting you on the cusp of battling for a playoff spot. I just don't think Teddy Bridgewater has that.
well, and we saw it last year. I mean, Carolina and Denver had very similar teams with their injuries and what was going on in the organization. And we saw them go head to head, and obviously Drew Lock got the better of Teddy Bridgewater. And I think
Right.
that that's a statement right there. And now that they're teammates, I think that Drew Lock's going to have a little bit more of a fire underneath him, and maybe that'll make him play better and be a better teammate, be a better quarterback, a better decision maker. So hopefully,
And Von Miller came out, at his pass rusher summit over the weekend, and pretty much said, "Drew's our man right now."
mhm.
So,
Well, and he's got a lot of
and,
the team behind him. People
and I think
support
he
Drew
does.
here, but
I think it may be divided a little bit, but I think it's more in the favor of Drew Lock. I mean, these players been with Drew now for 3 years, and so. But if Aaron Rodgers came along, they'd all change their tune.
right.
I mean,
But
who's going to
having
say?
Von Miller, one of the greatest defensive players we've seen here in Denver, on your side, is not a bad thing to have.
Right. And then
So
lastly, before we wrap up, because we're getting close to our half an hour, Pat Surtain. A lot of people at Rocky Mountain Sports Report did not want the Broncos picking this guy,
I don't know why.
and um, there's some word coming out earlier that this guy is the real deal, and it's coming from players. It's coming from like Justin Simmons. It's coming from Von Miller, Kareem Jackson. I mean, even Vic Fangio, who is very, very critical of people at times, has said this guy can do everything. He's
Mhm.
putting him in different situations. He's putting him in slot. He's putting him in the nickel. He's putting him all over the place. And this guy is the real deal, apparently. So maybe Denver, really struck gold here
Yeah.
with him, and we got another 10 plus year cornerback in Pat Sertan here.
Well, and I'm excited. I've been excited since they decided to pick him, and I've just been a huge fan. I watched a couple of his college games. I followed his career pretty closely while he was in college, and he's an athlete, and that's what you have to be at the corner position. And if he can figure it out early and he can continue that throughout his career, he's going to be a great player.
Yeah, they say, and Justin Simmons said this. He said the guy just moves around so fluidly and so easily that he just makes it look second, like it's second nature to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, the guy grew up around football. His dad was an NFL cornerback, so I'm sure his dad helped him out along the way. But he definitely is going to be a great addition to this team. And we got depth in a position where you really need depth because in a passing league, you need as many good cornerbacks as you can get. And we got a comment here. Pat Surtain is a beast. David, you just jealous he wasn't a Tiger. So, and I'm not sure who this was, but yeah, it would
I'm
have been
guessing he's an
nice.
Alabama fan.
But he still did not go to DBU, and we all know where DBU is, and that's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, but I'm not. I'm going to say they put out some good defensive backs at Alabama as well. So,
Mhm.
but I'm looking forward to it. We'll sort of see what comes out. We'll get our daily updates. What comes out of mini camp? You might get a little bit more. I think there's going to be a little more value placed on what the quarterbacks are doing in these 3 days than during the OTAs and stuff like that. So, but we will definitely look out for that. We'll scour the airwaves and bring you guys some updates on that stuff. So, any parting shots from you today, Alex?
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Go Rockies. Even
Yeah.
they're on a 1-game winning streak now. Let's see if they can make it 2 today, but I'm sort of concerned because Chichi Gonzalez is on the bump. So his last outing, the guy gave up 3 home runs in 1 inning.
Oh my goodness.
It was bad. It was against Miami, and he gave up a 2-run shot, a 3-run shot, and a solo shot. So
Oh my gosh.
in 1 inning. So, and it's early in the game. It's second inning. Sometimes you just got to ride with those guys. You don't want to burn out your bullpen too bad. But hey, Rockies, let's go ahead and try to bring another one home. And see what we can do. Oh, another thing about Gomber, that guy has an amazing ERA at Coors Field. They were talking about it today. I believe it's right around 1 or maybe a little under 1.
Wow.
So, or maybe it's right around 2. I'll have to double check that and look. But hey,
that's crazy because people want to refer to Coors Field as a hitter's park, but this dude has a 1 ERA.
if you get the right pitcher who throws a lot of ground balls and things like that and can strike people out and has great command of his pitches, they can pitch here.
Mm-hmm.
Opposing pitchers have come in here and done well. We just have to get the right guys,
Right.
And I think once we do that, the team will be better. So, but yeah, also I want to throw another thing out there. We posted, we're looking for people who want to do college football live streams or podcasts. So we want to start diving into that this year. So we're looking for somebody from Colorado State. If we got anybody that's CU that wants to do that, we got Air Force Academy. We got Northern Colorado, which is going to be exciting. We got Eddie Mack up there this year, running the show. So it'll be interesting. So anybody who's interested, reach out to myself, reach out to Matt. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll see if we can get you hooked up to start a college football podcast. But everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time. You got one thing, Alex?
I got one more thing. I saw this morning. Final word, I promise. We got 900 members now. We're 100 away on the Facebook page. Go ahead and tell your friends about us. If you're watching this, go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. We're so close to 1,000. It'd be awesome if we hit that.
No, I definitely agree. And we need to push that. Let's get to 1,000 before our remote event on July 24th. That would be awesome. So I want to thank everybody again for joining me and Alex. You guys be good, be safe, be kind to one another out there. Everybody, just live the best life you can. Thanks a lot, and we will see you tomorrow at noon.
Peace.